صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. We're now going to start the صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. We're now going to start the program with recitation of Qur'an by Amara Saria.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقدموا بين يدي الله ورسوله واتقوا الله إن الله سميع عليم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا ترفعوا أصواتكم فوق صوت النبي ولا تجهروا له بالقول كجهر بعضكم لبعض أن تحبط أعمالكم وأنتم لا تشعرون. إن الذين يغضون أصواتهم عند رسول الله أولئك الذين امتحن الله قلوبهم للتقوى لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم. إن الذين ينادونك من وراء الحجرات أكثرهم لا يعقلون. ولو أنهم صبروا حتى تخرج إليهم لكان خيرا لهم والله غفور رحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Thank you very much, Hassan. Thank you very much, Ammar. Please, can we also recite Surah Fatiha for Hussein Ali, Hassan Ali Asaria, Kulsum Bay Asaria, and for all marhumin. Surah Fatiha. Today we're very fortunate to have Dr Saeid Sobhani, who's going to speak to us on the topic of Rijal Studies and Introduction. Let's welcome him with salawat ala Muhammad wa al Muhammad. Dr Saeid Sobhani is a Shia scholar specializing in the fields of classical Islamic disciplines, including theology, philosophy, jurisprudence, principles of jurisprudence, tafsir of the Qur'an, history, biographical studies, and the fundamentals of belief, on each of which he has authored a number of books and articles. He studied under many grand scholars, including Ayatollah Javadi-Amoli, Ayatollah Mirza Jawad Tabrizi, and Ayatollah Subhani. His publications include Nayl al-Watar min Darar, and many others. We're very fortunate to have him here, and he'll be speaking to us on this topic. Salawat ala Muhammad wa al Muhammad.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد. It's a great honor for me tonight to be at your service, and I hope this topic will be benefit and will be useful for you, inshallah. Okay. So since my time is very short, I'm going to put the ocean in the cup of water, inshallah. Now, an overview of the science of Rijal and the science of Darar. So, let's begin our topic with a great hadith. Is ethical hadith is good for us. Muhammad ibn Yaqub, he is Kulaini. Muhammad ibn Yaqub Kulaini, he was born 3 years after the birth of Imam Zaman. Imam Zaman born in 255, and he born 3 years later. Kulain is a city, is a village, was a village near the Tehran. And Muhammad ibn Yahya, he narrated from Muhammad ibn Yahya, and he narrated from Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Isa, and he narrated from Ali ibn Nu'man and Abi Usame قال سمعت أبا عبد الله, I heard from Imam al-Sadiq يقول كونوا دعاة إلى أنفسكم بغير ألسنتكم كونوا زينا ولا تكونوا شينا. The hadith says that your act is much better than your word. If you want to advise someone, if you want to encourage someone, your act is much louder than your word. It's a good point for the father and the mother. If you want to encourage your children to read their namaz on time, it's better you read on time, so they learn indirectly. So, sometime I'm going to ask some people to read the slide for me. So, brother, can you read the translation? Become? Yes? Yes, please read the text.
Become propagators to yourselves without using your tongue. Be adornments to us and do not be as sources of disgrace to us.
Ahsan. Imam said, be beauty for us. So we should act in such. Everyone says, Alhamdulillah, there are Shi'i, there are followers of Ahlul Bayt. Okay. So as you see, brothers, this hadith consists of two parts. The first part is chain, and the second part is text. Usually each hadith consists of two parts. Now, so chain and text or mat. A chain consisting of several narrators serve as a channel conductive to a text. Chain, like a channel, leads us towards a text. A chain shows how we receive the hadith. A text without chain is not very valid. So the validity of the text depends on the validity of a chain. So you see, this is a chain and this is a text. Okay. Now, if we want to act upon any hadith, at least we should take 3 steps. If we want to accept any hadith, we should accept 3 steps. Number 1, the first we have to evaluate each individual in a chain. For example, if in the chain there are 5 people, 5 individuals, we have to assess them, we have to check them individually. This is the first step. So it means that we ask the 5 people sit in the room and we invite them, come here, we are going to have an interview. So we are going to ask a couple of questions. In the second step, we have to look at the chain as a whole. So in the first step, we are going to discuss, we are going to interview them individually. In the second step, we are going to look at a chain, whether the chain is strong, the ring connect to each other, 5 people rings connect to each other. Is there any coherence and consistency in the chain or not? And the third step, we have to look at a text. The first step is the duty of the science of Rijal. And second and third step is the duty of the science of Ilm al-Diraya. Now, we are going to have an overview, very, very quick overview on them. Now, in the first step, The chain consists of 5 individuals. We are going to discuss, we are going to assess them individually. Individually. So, what type of question are we going to ask them? So, in the first step, we are going to assess each person individual. 5 people, first person come here. So, we are going to ask a question. Yes, he's passed. Second person, we are going to ask the questions. Which type of question are we going to ask them? Look, for example, to know the identity, teachers, students, time, and the place. So what's your name? What's your father's your name? Who was your teacher? Your student? Okay, and where did you study? There are very important questions. Why? For example, if you find a person and you do not know who is he, sometime in the chain of hadith, there are some narrators, they have the same name. For example, there are 2 Muhammad ibn Ali. So how do I know which Muhammad ibn Ali? So if I know his teacher was, for example, Sheikh Tusi, it gives me a clue. So in the first step, to know their name, teachers, student. The teacher is important. The student is important. For example, if someone has many students, it shows that this person is so important. Now, to know his belief, for example, the narrator was from the Shi'i school, or if he was not, was he from the Imami or non-Imami? So what's the difference between Imami and non-Imami? So first of all, is he Shi'i from the Shi'i school or not? If he's from Shi'i school, is he Imami or non-Imami? Imami is a person who believes the imamat of his own time. For example, at the moment, we are Imami, inshallah, because we believe 12 Imams. But in the time of 6 Imam, in the times of 7th Imam, a group of people, they did not believe in the imamat of 7th Imam, like Ismailiyah. So there are non-Imami. There are Shi'i, but non-Imami. Now, so to perceive develop narrators that retentiveness, his memory is good memory or weak memory, accuracy and appreciation of religious concept. Does he know the religious concept? Salat, Hajj, Homs, was he aware of this concept or not? And now to identity, the narrator's behavior, moral, qualities, trustworthiness, reputation, and trustfulness, such as adil. So they are very important. Do we have any unknown, majhul, or neglected muhmal narrator in the chain or not? Majhul or unknown, what does unknown means? It means that his name is not mentioned in the book of Rijal, or if it is mentioned, they say we do not know him. So imagine in the chain, if someone is unknown, it's problematic. Or in the chain of hadith, someone is a muhmal. Muhmal, his name is mentioned, but they say we do not know him. Anyway, so in the first step, we are going to interview, to assess the people in the chain individually. And we are going to ask this question. Okay, for example, if the narrator is Imami, is a positive. If a narrator is non-Imami, is a negative. For example, if some person has a good memory, is a positive point. If someone has a, for example, weak memory, is negative point. So these points are very important in the first step. So this is the science of ilm al-rijal. So ilm al-rijal is going to assess the narrators in the chain of hadith individually. Brother, read the slide for me. Slide, please. So, keep the mic in your hand, please.
Al-Rijal can be defined as the discipline which discusses hadith narrators' specific qualities, for example, trustworthiness, truthfulness, and retentiveness, in order to determine their reliability. These qualities play an essential role in the acceptance or rejection of hadith.
Ahsantum. But there are some characteristics not important. For example, the narrator is tall or short. The narrator is skinny or not skinny. The narrator is black or white. This feature is not important in Ilm al-Rijal. The features which makes some person important or makes some person is weak. So this is the first step. Okay. Alhamdulillah, we passed the first step. Can we act upon a hadith? No. We should go to the second step. In the second step, we are going to assess the chain as a whole. The chain is strong or not? Is there any consistency in the chain or not? Okay, now suppose that we look at the first step successfully, that is evaluation of the reach of the chain individually. Muhammad ibn Yaqub, alhamdulillah, he passed. Muhammad ibn Yahya, alhamdulillah, is good. Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Isa, good. Ali ibn Nu'man, very good. Abi Osama, very good. Can I act upon a hadith? No. We should take the second step. In the second step, I should check the chain as a whole. In the first step, I looked at each ring individually. In the second step, I should look at the chain as a whole. Okay, what type of question am I going to consider? The same question? No, different question. In order to assess the coherence of any chain, there are another yardstick. For example, did the narrator quote the text from Imam or his companion? If he narrates from the Imam, is much better than if he narrates from Sahabe or from Tabi'in. Tabi is a person who did not see the Imam. So if the hadith, if the narrators narrate from the Imam, the value is go up. If it narrates from companion, the value goes down. Number two, if they narrated from Imam, did they mention his name? If they mention, the value go up. If they did not mention, the value go down. Number three, how did the narrator in the chain of hadith receive the text from each other? Did they receive the text from each other directly or via a link? So if I narrate a hadith from someone, how I receive the hadith from him or directly? Or there is a link between me and him. For example, someone told me that Mr. A said so and so. So if I narrate directly from him, the value is up. If I narrate from him indirectly, the value goes down. Now, are the name of all the narrators mentioned in the chain? If all the name is mentioned, the value is up. If the name is not mentioned, the value is go down. I give you example in future. Are all the narrator in the chain of hadith imami? All of them are imami? All of them are trustworthy and good memory? If all of them are imami, all of them imami, all of them good memory, and all of them adil, the value is up. If 3 of them imami, 1 of them is bad memory, no, the value is go down. So as you see, the coherence of a chain depends on many, many elements. So do they have any unknown? For example, 5 people, 4 of them is, I know them, but this person, I do not know who he is. So the value is go down. 5 people in the chain, 1 of them is unknown. So the value goes down. So these elements help us to make shows the coherence and consistency of the chain. Conclusion, brother?
If all the narrators in the chain of hadith are imami, just, accurate, and receive the hadith from an imam mentioning his name. This shows a high level of consistency and coherence of the chain. As a result, it increases the level of the authenticity of the text.
Ahsanto. Now, so let's have a quiz. Is okay? Now, look at this hadith. An al-Husayn ibn Sa'id. He's from Ahwas. Husayn ibn Sa'id al-Ahwazi. An Hammad ibn Hurayz. An Zurara. قال قلت له الرجل ينام وهو على وضوء. Zurara said, I asked him, someone is sleeping while he has already performed wuzu. So, is there any consistency in the chain or not? If not, why? What is your concern about the chain? Louder, I can't hear. Pardon?
Not mentioning the name.
They just said the dance.
Yes, the name of Imam is not mentioned. Zurara said, قُلْتُ لَهُ, I told him. Who is him? Who is him? The name of Imam is not mentioned in the chain. So, the level go down. So the chain is not very coherent. Now, another example. أخبرنا أحمد بن إدريس قال حدثنا أحمد بن محمد عن محمد بن يونس عن رجل عن أبي عبد الله. The name of Imam is mentioned. في قول الله تعالى فأنظرني إلى يوم يبعثون. What is your concern about the chain? So you do not need to give the mic. Any answer? An rajulin ahsantum. Look, second line. An Muhammad ibn Yunus an rajulin. Who is rajul? Might the rajul is weak. Since the name of one of the narrators is not mentioned in the chain of hadith, the value is going down. So look, the question about the coherence of the chain. So this is one example. The problem is that the name of Imam is not mentioned. قُلْتُ لَهُ. Who is lahu? I told him. The second one of the individuals in the chain of hadith is unknown. Because the rajul might be a weak person. Another example, Muhammad ibn Yaqub, again Kulayni, the author of Al-Kafi. And Ali ibn Ibrahim, the author of Tafsir Qummi, Ali ibn Ibrahim Qummi. Rafa'ahu an Abi Abdullah. So, I explained this one. Look, Yaqub Kulayni narrate from Ali ibn Ibrahim. That's true. But Ali ibn Ibrahim narrates from Imam al-Sadiq. Ali ibn Ibrahim couldn't narrate from Imam al-Sadiq. Why? Because nearly 150 years gap between them. Ali ibn Ibrahim couldn't narrate from Imam al-Sadiq. Imam al-Sadiq something 150 and Ali ibn Ibrahim 269, something like that. So 150 years gap. So if someone is expert, they say there is no coherence in the chain. The chain is not strong. There is a missing link. So there is a missing link. And the word of rafa'ah shows that there is a missing link. Now, so, okay, suppose that we took the first step and we took the second step. We interviewed the narrators individually, they passed the exam. We look at the chain, is so coherent and strong, alhamdulillah. Nobody can, for example, damage this chain. Can I act upon a text? No. We should take the third step. What is the third step? Look at the text. Is the text clear? The text is coherent? Is there any ambiguity in the text? If you pass the first step, second step, but the text is not clear, so the value will go down. Now, the valuation of the text. We need to evaluate the text math in terms of clarity and coherence. Okay? In other words, textual clarity and coherence plays a significant part in the level of hadith authenticity. Even if all the narrators were trustworthy and the chain of hadith as a whole were consistent, lack of textual clarity and coherence would divest the hadith of value and credibility. The credibility of hadith will go down. So, the textual ambiguity stems from different elements. Number one, lexical ambiguity. In the text, there are some words which I couldn't find the meaning in the dictionaries. In the text, there are some words, some terms, the meaning is not clear. Or sometimes the meaning of the word is clear, but the text as a text is not clear. I give you example. For the first one, I do not want to give example. Sometimes the text uses a very, for example, weird and unknown terms, unknown words, which might as common in the time of Imam, but it's not common in our time. So if one word is not clear, the value will go down. But sometime there is no problem. All the words is clear, but the text as a text is unclear. For example, on the one night, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, pointing to the full moon and said, "You will see your Lord as you see this moon." In terms of word, each word is clear. But the problem, the text. So the Prophet said, "You will see the moon." You will see Allah as you are seeing the moon. Of course, the text is not acceptable. Why? Because we know that Allah cannot be seen in this world and on the day of judgment. So the value of text is going down. Why? Because there is an ambiguity in the text. So the third step, we have to assess a text. So the text is not acceptable. Why? Because Allah cannot be seen in this world and on the day of judgment. Lan tarani ya Musa. Another example, so I do not want to read the chain. The first hadith says, "La yusalli al-mutayammimu biqawmin mutawadhi'in." Another text, he says, "فَالرَّجُلُ يُجْنِبْ وَلَيْسَ مَعَهُ مَاءٌ وَهُمَا إِمَامُ الْقَوْمِ نَعَمْ يَتَيَمَّمْ وَيَأُمُّهُمْ." So the first hadith, Imam said, if Imam al-Sadiq says, if the Imam who's going to lead Jama'at, if he has a problem and he couldn't find water for ghusl, he cannot lead the Jama'at. If Imam needs a water in order to perform ghusl, but he couldn't find it, so he is not allowed to perform tayammum and lead Jama'at while the people behind him, they perform wuzu. But second hadith is different. Imam said, no problem. If the Imam couldn't find water, he can perform wuzu and lead the Jama'at. So two hadiths contradict each other. So if two hadiths contradict each other, as long as we couldn't find any solution in order to remove the ambiguity, the value will go down. Now, in summary, brother?
In summary, in the second and third steps, we need to evaluate the consistency of the chain as a whole and clarity of the text. It's worth noting that these two steps are treated in al-Diraya, whose goal is to analyze and evaluate narrations from two angles: consistency of the chain as a whole, textual clarity and coherence.
Ahsantum. Now, carry on with definition of al-Diraya.
Definition of ilm al-diraya. Ilm al-diraya analyzes the hadith from two angles: the consistency of the chain and textual clarity and coherence. The consistency of the chain depends on a number of elements. For example, a complete and uninterrupted line of narrators linking back to an imam, through whom they are considered trustworthy, truthful, and retentive. Textual clarity depends on congruity with other authentic sources. In other words, the discipline discusses the quality of both the chain and the text.
Ahsantum. Now, what we said so far, we said in order to act upon any hadith, in order to believe the authenticity of any hadith, we should take 3 steps. Number 1, look at the people in the chain of hadith individually. It is the duty of ilm al-rijal. In the second step, you look at the text as a whole, a chain as a whole. In the third step, look at the text, the clarity and coherence of the text. The first step is the duty of ilm al-rijal, and second and third step is the duty of ilm al-diraya. So ilm al-diraya looks at the coherence of the chain and clarity of the text. Ilm al-rijal looks at the people in the chain of hadith individually. If I have a time, let's go a little bit. Now, just we are going to discuss more about ilm al-rijal. Now, look at this hadith. Muhammad ibn Yaqub and Muhammad ibn Yahya and Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Isa and Ali ibn Numan and Abi Usama قال, I heard from Imam al-Sadiq. So, in ilm al-rijal, I repeat, so we are going to invite these 5 people individually. Muhammad ibn Yaqub, please. We are going to ask him a couple of questions. What's your name? What's your teacher's name? How many students do you have? Where did you born? And for example, are you trustworthy? Do you have a good memory? Now, where can I get this information? If I want to know Muhammad bin Yaqub, the characteristic of Muhammad ibn Yaqub, how can I gain this information? The first solution, go and be his neighbor. Okay, Muhammad ibn Yaqub living there, rent a house, go to the school, go to Salat Jamaat, and do some socialization with him. You can know how Muhammad ibn Yaqub is. But no, it is impossible. Muhammad ibn Yaqub, he was the time of minor occultation. How do I know? So is there any solution in order about some features of Muhammad ibn Yaqub? Some features of Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Isa? Yes, there are some solutions. There are 2 types of tawthiqat confirmation. Tawthiqat khas, specific confirmation, and general confirmation. Regarding the specific confirmation, if someone specifically confirmed, for example, someone says, Mr. A is reliable. Mr. A, good memory. Mr. A, thiqah. Sometimes is a general confirmation. General confirmation, for example, someone gives a title, confirm a title. This title includes many people. For example, the students of Imam al-Sadiq are reliable. So it's a general confirmation. Or, for example, if Mr. X narrates someone, it shows that his teacher is reliable. Now, just briefly, regarding a specific confirmation, sometimes Imam specifically confirms someone. This is the best way. Imam said, this person is reliable. Whenever he narrates the hadith, believe it. Sometimes the scholars confirm someone. Regarding the Imam, yes, Imam, if confirms someone, this is the best way. But however, the hadith which the Imam confirms, the hadith should be authentic. For example, someone says, I heard from Imam al-Sadiq that this person is reliable. The hadith should be reliable itself. By weak hadith, we cannot confirm the reliability of someone. Okay? Brother, read the slide for me. Statement of infallible.
If an infallible Imam, according to a hadith, confirms the reliability of a particular narrator, it definitely establishes his reliability. For instance, Ali ibn Musayyib, as al-Kashfi narrates, requested Imam Rida alayhi salam, saying, since I live too far away and it's difficult for me to visit you regularly, how may I have my religious questions answered? The Imam suggested that he could pose his questions to Zakaria ibn Adam al-Qummi, whom he considered as trustworthy in investigating religious issues.
So Imam al-Riza confirmed Zakaria ibn Adam al-Qummi. That's a good way. So whenever Zakaria ibn Adam narrates hadith, it shows that this person is reliable. But there is some condition for that. For example, the hadith should be authentic. Number two, sometimes the scholars confirm someone. For example, Sheikh Tusi confirms someone. Or Najashi, the great scholars, confirm someone. So this is another way. For example, Najashi, one of the great scholars of Ilm al-Rijal, he says, Abdullah ibn Ya'fur, thiqatun thiqa. Thiqatun thiqa means reliable. So, it's a good point for us. So whenever you see Abdullah ibn Ya'fur in the chain of hadith, it shows that this person is reliable. Jalilun fi ashabina. He's so great. Karimun ala Abi Abdullah. وكان قارئا يقرأ في مسجد الكوفة. So this is second one. And the third one, there are some general confirmation. General confirmation, so let me repeat. A specific confirmation, Imam or, for example, Najashi says this person is reliable. Specifically mention someone's name. General confirmation, we have a title. This title may include and covers 500, 600, 200 people. For example, representing of Imam. If someone says, I'm the wakil of Imam, can we consider as a sign of his reliability or not? If someone was the wakil of Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam, can we consider him as a sign of reliability? Yes, but there is some condition. Number one, he should be wakil of Imam for a long time. Number two, he should be wakil of Imam for religious issue, not looking after, for example, the horse of Imam or the house of Imam. He should be wakil in religious issue. And number three, Imam should not criticize him. If Imam allocated someone as his wakil, later Imam said this person is bad. Of course, it's not reliable. So there are three conditions for wakala. He should be for a long period, wakil for religious issue, and this person should not be censured, criticized, or condemned by someone. Number two, the next one, frequently narrating from an imam. For example, someone frequently narrates a hadith from imam. 100, 200, 1,000 hadiths he narrates from Imam al-Sadiq. Can we consider as a sign of reliability or not? So I'm not going to say yes or no. Yes, but there are some conditions. Next one, frequently great narrators. For example, Shaykh Tusi, as one of the great muhaddithin, if Shaykh Tusi frequently narrates from Mr. A, can we consider Mr. A as a reliable or not? Shaykh Saduq frequently narrates from Mr. B. Can we consider Mr. B as a reliable or not? Another one, the scholars of Ashab al-Ijma', there are 18 people. 6 of them were the student of Imam al-Sadiq. 6 of them, they were the student of the 5th and 6th Imam. And 6 of them, they were the students of 7th and 8th Imam. Ashab al-Ijma', they were so great scholars. So the majority of Rijaliyun, they say there are great people, they are reliable. So whenever you see these people, you do not interview them, just say he's passed the exam. And the last one is Mashayikh al-Thiqat. There are 3 scholars which it has been said that la yarvuna wa la yursaluna illa an thiqa. They always narrate from the reliable people. So what we said so far, the last minute, in order to act upon any hadith, we have to take 3 steps. Number 1, to assess the narrator in the chain individually. Number 2, to check the coherence and consistency of the chain. Number 3, check the clarity, coherence, and consistency of the text. If you pass the 3 steps, yes, the hadith will be authentic. And the last point, how can I know Muhammad ibn Yaqub is reliable or non-reliable? As I said, there are a couple of yardsticks. These yardsticks help you to understand the features and the qualities of people. So that you gave me half an hour and my time is over. At your service for any question.
Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. We have time for questions. If there are any questions from either side.
Thank you very much. This was so well explained. We really appreciate that.
But easy question, please.
If I were to ask you and gave you one set of hadiths and give another person of equal status as you and put him in another room and ask him to assess the same hadith, would you both come back with the same answer, or is it going to be greatly variable? Do you know what I mean?
Regarding the people,
Yeah. So you
for example, someone said Muhammad ibn Yaqub is...
Yeah, so you have done the first, second, and third. You tick, 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 all 3. Alhamdulillah, you're very happy. Now I ask another scholar of the same caliber as you, sitting in another room or another part of the world, and ask him to do the same hadith assessment. Is he likely to be very different from you? And assuming he's a Shi'i Ashari as well.
Ahsantum. A good question. For example, regarding one of the people in the chain of hadith, in my view, for example, this person is reliable, but in the view of someone else might be non-reliable. No problem. This is ijtihad. Ijtihad means that each mujtahid should assess the hadith by himself. If one mujtahid said this hadith is authentic, it does not mean the hadith should be authentic in the eyes of the other mujtahideen as well. One hadith might sahih in the eyes of someone, and it might not sahih in the eyes of someone else. Because the authenticity of the text depends on the authenticity of the people in the chain. So for the chain, in my view, this person might be reliable. In the view of someone else, it might be non-reliable. In my view, for example, this person is thiqah. In the eyes of someone else, it might be thiqah. So each mujtahid should act upon his own views.
So just a follow-up. So today, 2024, I can understand 2 people making a different decision. What about today and 100 years ago? Would there be a lot of difference between you and the same caliber person 100 years ago assessing? Because of time difference, is
Yes.
it likely to change? In other words, as time goes along, are we getting any more information? And if we are, then you must tell me how. Because
Yes.
the text is the same, the chain is the same, our books are same. My final question...
But the mind is not the same.
Yeah. So my final question was that, is it necessary to go over and over and over on this? Hasn't it been done and dusted and kept? Khalas.
Because we are, as I said, in order to act upon any hadith, we have to assess this. Regarding your question, for example, someone might be unknown for someone. For example, I don't have a time to give example. For example, there in the third person in the chain of hadith, 200 years ago, 400 years ago, one mujtahid said this hadith is weak for me. Why? Because the third person is unknown. And he said the hadith is weak. But now, by barakah of computer, I realized that no, he's not unknown. He is known person. Why? through the date of birth, through the teacher, through the student, I recognize, no, he is a noun person. So look, the view of one mujtahid will be different with the view of mujtahid 500 years ago. So let's say another example. As I said, I don't have a time. For example, there is two Muhammad ibn Hassan. One Muhammad ibn Hassan is, for example, reliable. One Muhammad ibn Hassan is not reliable. One mujtahid, for example, 400 years ago, he couldn't recognize which Muhammad Hassan is this, a reliable one or unreliable one. Since the features of this person was not clear for him, he categorized the hadith as a weak. But now, in the barakah of computer, I can recognize this Muhammad ibn Hassan is, for example, reliable one. So look, I made the hadith authentic. So sometime two narrators has the same name. There are many problems. Sometimes there is a misspelling. Ahmad has been typed Muhammad. Ahmad has been typed Ahad. Ahad Ahmad. So might one marja or one mujtahid, they say the hadith is not clear because of misspelling. But now I might, or later, one scholars, they say no, I can correct this one.
Final question from this. So you convince me that technological advances that we have, the computers, is very helpful, has really helped us. So shall we forget all the past ones? Let's just forget all the assessments in the past. Let's just rely on now. What is happening?
Brother, mujtahid cannot do taqleed. Thank you.
Thank you. That is very, very clear. I've got two questions. One is, at what point is the hadith assessed against the Holy Qur'an? And in that question, what is the level of depth of knowledge of the mujtahid in the Holy Qur'an to be able to do that? So that was question one. And separately,
so the question is that if the text is against the Qur'an, so
potentially, but it's a golden thread. All the narrators are, the chain is very good. You've tested all of that.
All is good, but the text, there's an ambiguity in the text. For example, it is against ijma, or it is against akhbar sahihah, or it is against the nas Qur'an. Of course, the value will go down.
So the reason for my question is because when you spoke about the different stages of ilm al-rijal, the Qur'an didn't appear. But wouldn't that have been the first stage? Because there's no point in spending, say, 7 months assessing the narrators if the text actually contradicts the Holy Qur'an. Why would you waste time on it?
So you mean, first step, you have to assess the text? Okay.
It's quicker. So that's question one. Question two.
But it's not the end of the world.
No. Well, it is the end of the world because you see, mujtahids spend a lot of their life doing these assessments, right? Because they have to do them individually. So I'm assuming they spend quite a big part of their life, don't they? Maybe not. Anyway, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that I didn't see the Quran appearing at any stage. That's why I was asking.
No, usually they look at the chain, they look at the coherence of the chain, then look at the text. But since it happens rarely, they put it at the end.
Right. So question two.
The most important, the most concerning the chain and the coherence of the chain.
Right. And question two, suppose you've got the chain, you've tested the individuals, the
coherence of the chain.
All of that has been tested. But is it possible, does it ever happen that there is one hadith that might have come through that chain, and it is true, but there might be another hadith that has been linked to that chain, but it's untrue? Is that possible?
Means there are two hadiths, the same chain.
One of them is authentic, the other one isn't.
So authentic, but if the same chain, both should be authentic. unless there is a contradiction between this text and the other text. For
I haven't explained the question.
No, the different texts or the same
Let
text.
me explain the question.
Yes.
So I've,
No,
No,
this
no,
no. Look,
so
there
I've
are
written
two.
a book. I've written a book. You're assessing it now, and I've written in that book that this is the chain for this hadith, and then I've attached the same chain because I know it works, but I've put my own hadith now. Does it ever happen?
So I haven't got your question. So two chain, the same people in the chain.
Yeah. One of them is true, the other one is untrue.
So how come?
I've written it.
Unless the text is ambiguous. So if 5 people, the same people, in
My
one
question
hadith
is about
I
how
said,
do we assess the authenticity that this hadith did actually come from these people? It's not, because remember, because of the distance in time, so, we're talking about now, we're talking about 1,200 years from the last Imam, 1,400 from...
no, because who invalidate the second text? You said two hadiths, the text is different.
Yeah.
For example, one text is discussing about zakat, one text is discussing about salat. Yes? The same text, the same chain, if the first is authentic, the second should be authentic as well, unless there is a problem in the clarity of the text or the contradiction between this text and another text.
I think I've taken too much time. Thank you.
Clear? Okay.
Thank you for your talk. I just had a question about when you have contradictory hadith. So say you have two hadith, both of them, the chain of narrators individually and altogether they're coherent, but you have contradictory the actual
In the text.
In the text. Does that impact the trustworthy of the narrators at all, or do we just disregard both the hadith together?
If it happens a lot, yes, but if two hadiths contradicts each other, at the first step we have to look at a chain. If, for example, the people in the chain in this hadith are imami, the people in the other, for example, one hadith says Salat Jum is wajib, one hadith says Salat Jum is mustahab. Okay, if the people in the chain of this hadith all is imami, trustworthy, good memory, the people in the other checks is lower than this, of course, this hadith is hujjah, the other hadith is not hujjah. But if the chain at the same level, there are imami, good memory. For example, adil and adil. In this case, if two texts contradict each other, can we merge them? Merge two texts? We merge them. Otherwise, we should remove both texts or choose one of them by random.
Okay. And there's anything else? Can we? What we'll do is we'll allow. If it's okay, what we'll have is we'll end there. But inshallah, other people will come to you and ask you questions after this, if that's okay.
After?
Just right now, we'll stop formally, and then inshallah, some people will come to you. So we'll end there. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Thank you very much for that and giving us the opportunity of learning and listening to you. And inshallah, as I mentioned, if anyone has any questions, Sheikhs are around here for a few minutes at least afterwards, and they'll come and ask you questions. Next week we will continue our lecture series, and we have Sabra Laka, who will be speaking to us on her role as a prospective candidate for the election. And the week after we have Dr. Munzila Raza on Arba'in, and Maryam Marali, who will be speaking to us on an important topic as well. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.